Hi, everybody. I'm Julie Hiert, and that's Kate Fago that's here with me. And this is Making Light. And today we're going to talk about, I had meditation this morning where I was telling you, Kate, that my first meditation that I was really kind of working on was as I've moved here, a lot of fears have come up: fear of wasps, fear of hiking in places I don't know, because we have Lucas who likes to run off leash because he was a sled dog. Um, just like a lot of fears, like I'll be walking and I'll just not really want to move forward, like just in a physical sense. There's a lovely motorcycle going by. So I meditated on that for a while, and one of my very first guide came to me. Her name is Sandy, and oddly enough, when I first met her, it was on a beach as in a part of a guided meditation. And so she's aptly named Sandy, and she helps me play. And so she was telling me to play through the fear. So I do want to talk about that a little bit more. But the other thing that came through is this idea of, she was telling me, well, and I have another guide named Dorothea who's about letting go. And she was telling me, they both were, about prioritizing what's for me in my best interest, because I do freelance marketing work as well, and I do Making Light, and then I have Julie Hiert Intuitive, and what is it that I need to work on to move Julie Hiert Intuitive and Making Light forward so that other people can hear what we
Make
have.
light with us.
Say what?
So other people can make light with us.
Exactly. Yes. And so I know that at some point, backing out of or moving away from the marketing stuff is going to become more and more of a thing. But that's where I
See,
started.
as soon as you think it's a thing, Julie, it's going to be unbearable.
I know.
But I just have to interrupt you because if I was one of our listeners,
If I was one of our, if I were, I
why
don't
not were?
know.
If I were sounds more whimsical. If I were right, if I were one of our listeners, I'd be like, oh, Julie speaks to guides. And then because I am who I am, I would then beat myself up because I don't know that I get the concept of guides, and I do indeed have contact occasionally with my guides. But so it's something that we want to talk about because Julie, you seem to have extreme clarity about who your guides are, what their names are, what their roles are, who's talking. I mean, don't get me wrong, through a guided meditation, I have come up with some stuff that when I tell other people, they go, wow, Kate's got guides, but I don't have the, shall we say, confidence that you do. I'm confident they're there. I'm just not confident I'm listening to them or hearing them. But it's just to reassure people that real life mortals who walk amongst us, like Julie, do have guides, and that you can learn to speak to them. And it's one of the things I'm hoping Julie will teach me.
Oh, yeah. Yes. It's all, I compare it to diving off the deep end. You just have to like plug your nose, believe you'll float when you hit the water. That kind of thing.
And see, I was going to say I do believe, but I don't have the faith and clarity that you do, that I'm hearing. Do you know what? I, I do have guides because I know what's just happened. I now have a very clear picture in my head of me sitting on the sofa saying, what do I need to do to have a better relationship with my guides? And they were, you need to listen, Kate, because I don't give it long enough. I'm like, oh, nothing's happening. And I know that. I just immediately, they've said it in a much nicer way, immediately default to, oh my goodness, oh, well, this will have to wait, I haven't got time, or it's not happening quickly enough, or yeah. So
you know what my thing is? My fear is, we'll go back to fear, I guess. My fear is that it comes too quickly. Like that can't be real. That I, not so much today with the meditation, but yesterday we took a walk and a turtle walked in front of us, and I posted about it. But a turtle walked in front of us, And I just sat and watched it, and it moved across this little asphalt street and then into the long grass and into the water. And so I just thought, oh, look at that cute. I mean, it's pretty. It had lots of colors, green and red and everything. I Googled it later. It's a painted turtle. Anyway, um, but as it was walking away from me into the tall grass, I was just saying to it, just sending it love and light and saying, oh, how pretty you are. Oh, I'm glad that I got to see you, and like delighted in the moment. And I heard in my head, keep on keeping on, you'll make it to where you need to go. And I'm like, the turtle didn't say that like that. Did I just connect that fast to the turtle? And then I'm like, I hear, yeah. So like I have this, I'm just like, well, don't I have to do this whole like 30-minute like when we were first learning, even with our teacher, like, do I have to do this whole ceremony thing? And it's like, I never do that. It's not my thing anyway. So I don't know. So now it's like a moment of, oh, that just came from the turtle. Oh, I see why I'm supposed to hear that right now. So that was kind of I don't know. But the same with the guides too. Like I'll be standing at the kitchen sink washing dishes, asking, just thinking about, okay, I'm really nervous about something, or I'll just kind of sit with it for a minute. And then I can either hear a line in my head, or I have a knowing, or I feel comforted. Like I'll feel like I'm getting a hug. And then oh, that's the guides or my grandmother.
Gosh, I see. I want that. I get stuff in my head instantly, but what worries me is that Abraham says you're tuned in, you're always tuned into something. So am I tuned into my guides, or am I don't believe in evil spirits or anything like that. I don't believe in that. But I do understand there are bits of my ego that have an opinion on it, just about everything. So I do want, like, if I'm pondering something and I ask the question, should I do X, Y, Z? And I get an answer instantly, I'm never sure if it's my guides, or I think it must be my ego because it's quick.
I would think that I think one way I discern between the guides and my ego is if I can feel it in my stomach. If my stomach suddenly calms and like almost like relaxes. I was going to say releases, but that sounds weird, but relaxes. Like if my stomach relaxes, it's my guides. If it's my ego, the same tense, fear, unsettled, if I don't believe in it, that's my ego. If that makes sense. If the feeling that I have is like, oh, you couldn't do that. You couldn't possibly do that. What makes you think you could do that? That's ego.
Yes, and I can recognize that. It's more the I quite often have a very, very quickly because I'm a fixer, as we know, I will have a very practical solution to something. And it might be calming because I know that the way for me to move forward is to make whatever's in front of me okay. Like, I'll just and actually maybe that's my car. Anyway, this is I didn't want to derail your discussion. I just
actually, this brings up a good point, because I was talking with another one of our colleagues.
I thought you were going to say another one of my guides. This one's called Jehovah, and he sits on a green throne, and he comes every Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Just sorry.
Intuitive humor. No, I was talking to another colleague, and she was talking about how she always feels the need to swoop in and rescue. And lately, either because of some of the books we've had in our book club or Abraham, something I'm listening to, I just thought, you know what? We have this, we want to always fix something. We always think something's wrong, we have to fix it. So she's thinking me swooping in to help other people is a bad thing, I have to fix it. And I said, wait a minute, what if that's your superpower? What if you helping people, swooping in because you're the one that has no fear to swoop in and help. So what if that's your superpower? You just need to understand it to be able to, I don't want to like harness it or set boundaries around it so you're protected. So what if your superpower is solving problems practically? And so they know, the guides know that when you are trying to connect with them or you're trying to find a solution to something, they're the ones giving you that practical solution because they know that's your superpower and they're trying to enhance it. What if?
And maybe every creative thought that comes into our head is, if we're all connected, so really our guides, I mean, we've read a couple of books that sort of agree but not entirely, don't they, about distinguishing between guides and afterlife and who we are. And but if I mean, guides, I don't know the difference between guide and angel and blah blah, and my inner being, is my inner being a guide? And then you think, well, does it matter?
No, I don't.
Does it? As long as it feels good.
Yeah, I had a meditation one day where all my guides melded into one and into the beam of light to source. And then I said, oh, so it doesn't matter that I think you all have, there's a million of you and you have different names. We're all really source. We are all really source. And they were like, yes. So I can do one, or I can, if I need to focus on something, I can.
Yes, because I think Danielle says, doesn't she, that she just refers to her guide. She doesn't distinguish between them.
Yeah.
Or,
yeah.
But and we're going off topic now, but just what you said about what I found really interesting about the last book we read, the one about Between Lives.
Oh, Journey of Souls.
Yes. What got me about that, and this is so apparent in animal communication as well, was how much personality is retained. Like, I just assumed that Kate, the inner being Kate, or whoever Kate, because there might be 20 of me called different names. Apparently I am living in another existence at the same time, apparently, because I like to make things hard for myself. So let's call her Super Kate, the superset of Kate, actually has a personality. And I just assumed that the superset of me would not, and the personality was your ego, and actually it's not, because we know this from talking to the animals, that when you talk to an animal at the soul level, or animals that have passed, they still retain quite a definitive personality. So I like that. I like that idea. It just goes to show that even though we're all 100% love in the superset world, you still have a personality, which also means that no personality is wrong or bad. It's just, we all have these traits that can be not used to good and evil, but there are facets of everything. Yeah, anyway, but I'm derailing. We're talking about Julie's meditation.
Yes. And so
I'm conscious, why is my head bigger than your head, Julie? I don't understand. I don't want to be like one of these people
not that
hulking over the camera.
When I get my office set up, we'll figure it out. We're making progress on my office, which is another point of prioritization. So, because I've been putting other people's work in front of my work, which would, like the office even. So that thing should be organized by now.
No, I should
beat myself up, which is why
don't should all over yourself.
See, that's what I'll do. Yeah. No, but the turtle's like, just keep on keeping on, because you'll get there.
I understood from that as well that you were sending love and saying how beautiful he was and how lovely it was to see him. Like, if you keep doing that, I mean, that is the key of appreciation, isn't it? And if we can find that vibration and stay in that vibration, it doesn't have to be anything grand. That's what Abraham Hicks says. You just stay in that. She gives an example of how walking through an airport, she's like, oh, look at the colors in the carpet. And I really, finding anything that is vaguely pleasing or interesting to you, and just keeping up a rhetoric in your head about, gosh, isn't it interesting the way that does that? And isn't it lovely that there are people here that can serve me coffee? And and just keeping it light like that. that, you know, that can move mountains.
Mm-hmm.
So keeping on could also be referred to keep on this, you know, this appreciation, as it were.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when you say turtle, not do you guys distinguish between tortoises and turtles?
Yes and no, meaning that when we see one, it's like, oh, that's a turtle. But then if I go to figure out what it is, and it says it's a tortoise, oh, I'm so sorry, you're a tortoise. Yes.
They tell you that.
I don't know. You know what? That's a good question. I didn't ask him that. I
But
just
you said he
Googled
went
what it
into the
was.
water. Did you say he went into the water?
Mhm. So
There
then he's,
must be a turtle then.
yeah, because tortoises are land only, right? Yeah.
We used to torture ours by making them swim across their drinking pond. They didn't mind, but I think they would rather have not been dropped into the deep end. Oh, it's just a little, you know, it's just, my dad made that actually, dug a little thing and cemented it in so that they could go in a slope if they, you know, anyway, that's quite sweet actually. Shelley and Tickle, don't know what happened to them. No idea what happened to them.
Oh.
God, that'll be another of my nightmares, that I'll wake up and go, oh my God, we left them in the garden and they haven't been fed for 36 years. That's one of my anxiety dreams, is that I go down into, I discover a cage of mice, because I used to have pet mice, lots of them. And I discover a cage of mice and I'm like, oh my God, I'd forgotten I had these. How long has it been since they're always still alive. But you're just like that horror of realizing that you haven't been taking care of something and actually you'd completely forgotten you had it. So that's my classic anxiety dream.
Interesting. Mine is I can't yell, I can't scream. And I wake up trying to scream. Speaking of which, the puppy is outside. They just put the puppy outside. So I just did a little thank you for reminding me of my lesson.
Are they home?
I will doubt it. After this, I have a reading after this and then I'll go and take a look. So,
But I thought you went to, yeah.
But I found out that my whole neighborhood is all about this puppy too. I'm not the,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of people in the neighborhood that are saying things to the people.
To them.
I think so. That's what they've said. That's what they've told me. So, and the dog is inside way more now than it ever has been. But today is the first like cooler day and nicer day. So I'm sure they're going to leave the puppy outside. So, but why they have to do it, I don't know. So anyway, but just thanking him. Yeah. So that's that. So anyway, so prioritization. So we were talking about, I'm putting other people's work before my own, and I need to balance that. And at some point I can even begin to see, at least Sandy was showing me, at some point it will probably be time to let it go, the freelance marketing stuff, and focus only on this, which would make me more than happy. So, and you were talking about all of the things that came into your path this morning too, before you got here. So it's just, I don't know, maybe that's all that has to be said. I don't know.
Exciting.
But you want to share what your friend was telling you though, about your big list, your goals?
Oh, so my mentor, Annie Sweet, we're redoing my, she calls them the land of plenty, which is essentially, I suppose Abraham would call it my vortex, but like my conscious vortex, something that I put together. And Nick Bro, I don't know what he'd call it, but he encourages you to do that as well. It's basically visualizing aspects of your life and how you want them to be. So the way Annie does it is I write things like, I choose the end result of a beautiful home by the sea or something like that. And then I'm supposed to, which I don't know a lot of, sort of look at them and choose one or two of them and try and feel that feeling, keeping them front and foremost all the time. I don't spend enough time doing that. And that again, Nick Bro calls that consolidating. He uses another word, but it's about imagining or feeling that you already have these things and bringing that vibration into. And so I had put that I wanted to be, I think I'd said big, bold, and beautiful, and that I choose to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I know, I almost said something.
And I'd started talking about, I'd said to her that whilst I understood that, because she has a very strong feeling that that's the way I will go, being seen. And I was like, I don't really know what it means. Like what does it mean to be seen? I get it, as in to be seen, but what activities do I need to be doing that get me closer to that, other than just wanting to be seen? And she said, well, the stuff that she was talking about, this, like the fact that I'm doing little videos and stuff like that, and she said in the YouTube channel that you're doing with Julie and things like that, and we were just talking about that for a minute, and I was just like, she says, I can tell that you get really excited about it, and I was like, I do, I think it's fucking brilliant. And I just said, we have so much fun, and I said, I love watching myself, and I love watching us doing it, and I just think it's really, it's just so much fun. And she was just like, well, that's all, that's what you're looking for, that's the bingo.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was sort of like, and what was interesting, because I told her that bit that we talked about, that I can't stop watching myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I know we say it's a Zoom thing as well, but I love watching us. I just think we're cool as fuck, and then I was like, but is this, like, I don't understand why, because I'm not like that. I've never had things that I've been really proud of that I wanted to show people. I mean, even stuff I do, like chairs that I've made, this I did for myself, and this is quite a not low key, but I didn't obviously put the same sort of effort into it as I've done on our dining chairs. But I love it that people love them, and I love it that people mention it. But to be honest, it embarrasses me slightly. I don't like bringing attention to things that I do. But with this, I'm just like, it's fucking brilliant. And I was just saying, I said, I just really enjoy it, and I just can't think of a better way to make a living. And wouldn't it be wonderful if you could get paid to just speak your mind? Just be amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I was saying, when you said that, I was saying, I can't even imagine. I mean, I am learning how to speak my mind. And that in and of it, that's like the first like hurdle, like, oh, I do have something to say. I think I even said in book club the other week, like, I can't imagine that I'm now the teacher, because no one says, okay, you've turned 50, blah, 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 and here you go, you now teach. Wait a minute. Or I've been teaching. Like, who knew I had been teaching? And these and younger women that have worked with me or worked for me will say, you've taught me so much. And I'm like, really? Because I don't.
I know, but like Guy, I look upon you as like the spirit guide guru, you know.
Yeah.
And then you said something about me and Abraham Hicks. I was like, what? Like, you say, oh, you know all this stuff about, and it's like, yeah. So I watch a lot of podcasts, listen to a lot of podcasts, watch a lot of YouTube. Doesn't make me an expert, does it? But I guess that's it. We all take information and repackage it and pass it on. And every now and then, you know, stuff I've learned from people, I think I have probably heard 100 times, just not, it just hasn't quite hit the spot. And then somebody will say something, and you're like, got it, bingo, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something else I've been thinking of, is everybody, because when we first started these classes and this type of path, like for me, I was like, oh, well, Oprah, and I put her on a pedestal, or even our teacher put her on a pedestal, and then even some of the authors that we've read, and then I realized, it's a lot of the same information, just a different way. And then I think, oh, wait, and this is a newer revelation. Oh, everybody has a role. And I get this a lot from listening to Abraham too. Everybody has a role, and they're here to play their role. And even if it's real close to somebody else's role, it doesn't matter, because of the group of souls that are there to listen to that one role. And I'm just like, it's actually
like,
kind of beautiful when you think of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like Nick Bro says that, you can't, like, people go, oh, what's my life's purpose and what's this? It's like, you can't not fulfill your life purpose by the sheer fact that you exist. You are making life different for the people around you. It's not about being I was going to say misogynist, that's not the right word, is it? It's not about being a Is that a word?
Yeah, philanthropist. Yeah, or a
You know,
celebrity. Yeah, it's
yeah.
not, yeah. hmm You don't have to
But
be the next Oprah. You just have
but
to
le- but
be.
but having said that, Julie, I wouldn't mind. Let's be Oprah. I don't
No, I
mind.
would no, no.
I could live with that.
hmm
But I would also say that when I said about speaking my mind, I do recognize I meant that in a slightly different context to you saying, because I
Oh,
struggle speaking my mind. I simply mean just opening my mouth out loud, talking out loud. Speaking my mind, though, I've always thought I was quite good at it. I'm probably more guarded now than
mm,
I was, but I think we've done okay. I think this is good for us as well, because we had all that thing about the COVID.
yeah,
But I also think as we all start to let go of our own opinions, as in attachments to opinions, it becomes easier to speak your mind as well.
yeah. I want to back up because we mentioned Aaron, and just in case someone hasn't realized, so do you want to talk about Aaron? Or do you want me to? I will
I
be
feel
the
like you know better than me.
you talk about Aaron.
Well, Aaron's one of my guides, and when I was doing, were we doing the soul level coaching together? Was it, or were we just
Well, we were
practicing?
practicing, I think. We were just practicing. Yeah, outside of the
And
normal structure class. Yeah.
so this will be what, 6 months ago?
Easily. Yeah.
And
Easily.
back then I was saying, well, Julie, you've got such a great relationship with your spirit guides, and I want the same relationship. What do I have to do? And you said basically that Aaron, I've got a different picture of Aaron now. Aaron's my main guy, isn't he?
Mhm.
And he looks like a sort of cross between a sort of alien and a large ant.
Mm.
I think that was to challenge me
Uh-huh.
into that it doesn't matter what things look like, because I'm not a sci-fi fan at all.
Yeah.
Um, I think he gave me something so ridiculous that I would know I didn't make it up, because I would never have chosen that. I think that's why he came through like that.
Yeah.
Um, and you said every time the clock strikes, I'm supposed to take a minute to think, and I haven't. But it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Danielle said something at a few meetings ago was it in the coach? It wasn't. It was actually on a Be Open, and she said that when she looked at me now, she sees somebody who's very, very tentatively holding the hands of her guides. And I was like, oh my god, as opposed to somebody who was sitting in a cardboard box 3 feet from her guides. I
Right.
thought,
Right.
um, yeah. Well, I know I'll get there. It's a I see what comes straight to mind is it's all about discipline, but actually it's not, because that's not always the best way to get there, is it?
No, my guides, I'm disciplined because I'll say to my guides when they'll say, you need to prioritize, you need to start, let's start thinking about how the marketing is going to go away. And I'm like, okay, then I'm going to create a schedule. And every day from 8 to 10, and they start laughing because that's my default, is to do a to-do list, which I've kind of gotten away from. If I have overloaded, I'll throw a lot on a piece of paper just so that I don't lose track. But I don't do them as regularly, which was every day, maybe twice a day, I would update it. Did Aaron just ding?
No. I just we'll need to come back to that.
Oh, okay.
Just
So,
a wee tip for you.
oh, okay, okay. Um, so
I
yeah,
was trying to do it so I didn't interrupt you, instead of just completely blown you off course anyway.
that was fine because then I just sat there for a second. It came in and they started laughing. I could hear them laughing. So I'm like, oh yeah, laughing. They'll laugh at me if I think, oh, I'm going to set a schedule. This is what I'm good. Actually, the first time I set a schedule after they said, this was I don't know, a year or so ago when I was trying to figure out about getting out of my job. Anyway. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to set the schedule and this is what I'm going to do every day. And that's the first time I ever heard them laugh. And they're like, well, you can try it, see how it goes. And it didn't even last a day. Shot. So I'm like, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, I started out like that, trying to schedule time to do things. It didn't work. I wish I could hear my guides laugh. Sorry, that thing. You say that sometimes when it gets too much, you write it all down on a piece of paper. So one of Abraham Hicks's processes is when you write them down, you do 2 columns, and on the one side, do you know this?
No.
So on the one side, you write down the things that you absolutely must be done by you immediately, and everything else you put on the universe side of the page, and you just ask the universe to take care of them for you. And just the act of doing that just loosens things off a bit, in the same way as just writing a list does. But this is like a added superpower, since we're referring to superpowers, of saying, well, actually the universe is going to deal with that shit, I'll just deal with this little bit here, and they can deal with everything else.
So I had one. So there was that day that I was really stressed out when we were going to do a Making Light episode. We ended up not, because I was just so stressed out. And that's when you were telling me extreme self-care. And I had this whole list of all the things I had to do to get settled in the house and get settled in the place. You're like, let it all go do whatever you want to do. And I did. And then I think I said, I don't know if I said in another episode, but another time we were talking, I'm like, you're not going to believe this, but I went back to the list days later and I hadn't looked at it, and most of it was taken care of one way or another, not necessarily by me doing, like actually doing it, but it had resolved itself one way or another. So, and that actually, huh?
That sort of makes you wonder how much of our life is just completely pointless. Like, if you just left it alone, would it go away?
Right. And I think too, how much, like this prioritization thing, look how much time I allow to waste, energy, actually, I was thinking of it. And I give this energy to my marketing clients, and I, instead of putting my energy towards these things, Making Light and Julie Heard Intuitive, and it needs to flip, because I'm kind of spinning my wheels on the marketing stuff because I need things from them in order to do my part. And so I sit and I wait and I wait. So I'm watching to see, do I have it yet? Do I have it yet? Do I have it yet? When instead of sitting there thinking, do I have it? Let it be, focus on our stuff. And when their stuff comes back to me to handle, I'll find a way to handle it. But like filling up my time in ways that it's not paying off. So
someone sent me a well, I won't look at my phone over here, but I was trying to find it on Facebook. A friend of mine, who was it? I think it was Carol, said, right, so there was this girl that she follows. I say girl, I've no idea how old she is. She follows on Facebook. It's called, I think her name is Gabrielle, and it's Right No Matter What. Now, I actually went out because I'm always intrigued by these things, and I go, oh fuck, I've got so much to do, I'm just not. But the article that caught my eye, she does quite a lot of them, but just as I looked into, I actually did join the group because of the article that was exactly that. It was about busy time, in that how much time. Okay, I'm slightly misrepresented, because actually I think it was about the energy we spend whilst not making a decision. And she said what it's like there's a taxi outside with the engine running, and you've got to go in and do something that requires concentration or something, and like you can't, because you're so aware of the taxi running. And I never finished reading the article, but that's exactly what you're talking about, isn't it? Is it you know, so that this will be the lesson for you, is, can you divorce yourself from the waiting and then allow yourself to focus on something else?
Right.
That,
yeah. And it's hard. Like, I have to really think about, I need to close. So there's a messaging app that one client uses. Actually, there's 2 that she uses with me, which is great. It's fine. But when the sound goes off for either app, I will stop what I'm doing and open the app. And I've been thinking lately, turn the apps off or turn the sound off, or, whatever, because I need to find dedicated time to write, prepare, think, and all that stuff too.
or you make dedicated time for the stuff that you're not that keen on, and you make that known to your clients, and either the information's there by then, and if it's not there by then, it doesn't get done. Like that's the only time that you are available. And if they haven't got the information to you, you don't look at that again until the next time that you're available. And then the rest of the time you're free. Technically. See, busy brain, never stop organizing.
No, I know. No, see.
And this is sort of the frustration about my other job at the moment is, and it's fine, you know, now I've got myself clean, I just threw myself under the bus. Oh, I have something massive to tell you. Sorry. You remember, and I don't know if this was on camera or not, where I was getting all upset about organic food, and you said go to the farmer's market.
Yeah, that was last week.
Did we record that?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you anyway, because I can't distinguish between what's public here and what's me talking to you, because that's the beauty of this, I find.
Yes.
So you said to talk to farmers, right? That was the phrase.
Yes.
Talk to the farmers, talk to the farmers, talk to the farmers. We said farmers market.
Yeah.
Right? So I Googled farmers market. There's one in Dunfermline, but it's like the 4th Saturday of the month, and it's like 4 weeks away. And then I looked for one in Kinross, and it's the 2nd Saturday, you know, and that's like 2 weeks away. So I think it's next week or something. I was like, oh, because you know, you get all fired up, and I want to do something, and I've run out of food, and I need to go to a farmers market. Then yesterday, Robin's lambs, including the 4-lane ones, which I can look at now, and I mean, one of them limps a bit, the other one I can't even notice which one it is. They're absolutely, I mean, it still limps, but it's quite obvious that it's not, I don't know if it's in pain or not, but it's living its life. It's, you know, they're back in this field here, and I had some lovely guests over, it's not the weekend, is it, but they've just come out, and I noticed I got this message because Airbnb has a messaging app, because I don't bother them unless they get, you know, unless they contact me on the app. And I said, oh, and it's funny because this is exactly what I'm like, a townie that comes out, and I was like, I know this is probably normal, but we just thought you should tell you that one of the lambs has escaped, and it's on the road, and it's getting really frantic because it can't get back into the field, right? And I was like half an hour going, like, oh! So I like run downstairs, and there's no sign of it, and they said, oh, they're in the hot tub. And so they said it had managed to get back in. So this is different from the one that got under the gate. There's a bit of fencing that it's sort of on a hill, and where the fence sort of cuts the corner off, but if they push into the corner, they can actually get up under the fence, but then without, so I texted Robin and said, look, your lambs can get out, it seems to have found its way back in, but just so you know, they can get out at the trough, the water trough, because that's where the water is. So he's out fixing the fence yesterday, and I went out and had a chat with him, and we had like a 10-minute chat, and I get on really well with Robin, and he's very practical farmer, but it's clear, it's obvious that he, you know, he takes care, and he's very fond of his animals. I imagine they have to be hard as nails about some things, and he had a very strong opinion about organic, which I won't go into. But you know, it's basically, I suppose, from his perspective, he says it's not all about money. He says, you know, a lot of these animals, they're not allowed to worm them, they're not allowed to give them antibiotics, they're not allowed to do this, they're not allowed to do that. And he says, you know, sometimes it's just not practical. You know, you get one of them gets ill and they get something and you can't inoculate the herd. He says, and it's like, you know, my boys or my girls, my sheep, they go through a dip, they go through a foot wash every 3 weeks, they do this, they get, you know, and all these things that he does, that organic, anyway, it's not the point, but the point is he was telling me about, I'd said about the dairy, which is a bit of a risk to a farmer. I just said, you know, I'm really, because he'd made fun of my organic veg box. He was like, it'll be shit, and it was shit. Because I go to, I think, I don't know, it's Marks and Spencer's, which is one of the better supermarkets here. He doesn't do anything online. They don't even have a phone line. They just won't do anything online. And he said, so he'll never be watching this. Hi, Robin. Oh, I suppose he's got a phone. And he says, oh God, that's a thought. Well, your neighbours will be watching this, Julie.
Hi, everyone.
But in the 10 minutes talking to him about what he does for his animals, I was like, it's okay. He says it doesn't happen in Britain. Like, it's just not like that. He says the farm assured people, which might be another notch up on the welfare thing. He says, we get investigated every year. If anything's wrong, if any wormers out of date, I'm like, I don't care about your wormers being out of date, Robin, I want you to tell me about the welfare. But, you know, he's like, they're throw you like a dose of salts. Like, everything is managed in such a way. Okay, so this is a farm assured, which is a particular, I think they call it the Red Tractor Award or something, you know, some sort of a level of quality to do with it. But it just made me feel so much better about it. And that's what that was. It was talk to the farmer. Because he was just like, he says, you'll get arseholes in every walk of life. He says, but the vast majority of people, you know, really do their best, and they really do try to get the best welfare for their animals. And, you know, it's just not, he says, it's just not like that here. No, I'm sure there's different views on that, but it was just made me feel a lot better about everything. So he said, buy British, he said, and then, you know, at least, then at least you know that it is actually legislated, and you know, there are rules around how you keep your animals and stuff like that. Now, I wouldn't say that all those rules are great, because obviously with chickens and that, not great. But, you know, with farm animals, it does seem to, I mean, they are, I can see them, they're out in the field, they're not having a bad life.
No.
Yeah. So that was what, and I said that to him. That was another huge risk. I said, well, I do all this psychic stuff. I sort of made light of it. And I said, and my friend told me that I had to speak to the farmer, and I didn't realize that would be you. And he was like, oh, you're a complete lunatic. He didn't say that. But you can see him sort of going, all right then. I just know that he just thinks I'm a stupid townie anyway, but, you know, it's always very...
How old is he? For some reason, I need to know how old he is. Is he old?
Do you know what? Apparently he's 70. I would have thought he was 50s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I kind of felt like he was a younger guy, but yeah, okay. I don't know why.
Well, that's because he was out there with his shirt off fixing the fence. No, not quite, but you know. So, no, I assumed he was sort of late 50s, mid 50s, late 50s, but apparently he's in his 70s. Oh, I hope I've got that right. It's all right, I'll never see it, will he? He's no internet.
That's awesome.
So, it is. Cool. So I'm not completely fixed about it all, but it's just taken a big load off, especially as the cat needed food. And I'm like, fuck, now what do I do with the cat? Like, do I have to buy the cat organic meat now? Because, you know, it's about the meat, it's not about the cat.
Right.
But I bought grass-fed British beef, which arrived today, frozen, which I wasn't expecting, but I maybe hadn't thought it through.
Oh, that's interesting, because I feed Lucas. He gets kibble in the morning, and then he gets a raw food patty in the afternoon. And I stocked up when we left Alaska, and so I have a bunch. I cannot find that kind of food, not necessarily the brand, but the kind, anywhere where I live.
I was supposed to send you a link, wasn't I?
Oh, you were? Oh, well, there you go.
Make your own.
Oh, yeah, I know, make my own. Well, so I was trying to figure that out yesterday. There's not a lot of farmers here to where I can obtain, or butcher shops. There's not, I don't think, I can't find any. But so I just sat there for a little bit yesterday, and then freeze-dried raw delivered to your door came up. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even think of that. And I used to give him that too. So it's like, oh, if I just sit with it for a minute and ask.
I was going to say, there must be hundreds of places that do it now, because when I started raw feeding a cat, you couldn't find anything, and now it's all over the place.
Yeah, and that's the thing, it's kind of, I just haven't found it here. In Alaska, I could find all this stuff, and I'm like, this is bizarre. Like, that's Alaska's like way out there. I wouldn't think
that's why
I'm finding it, that it's harder here than it is there. It's odd.
But maybe that's why, because, you know, when people are very far away, there's a lot more sort of internet presence, if you know what I mean, because it's the only way to get anything. I'm not going to start a big conversation. I'll try not to start a big conversation about this, but I'm really surprised that you feed him raw and you still give him kibble. It's like most people who are educated enough about raw don't feed kibble.
No.
Oh, did I touch a nerve?
No, you're not. No, it's part of this. It's what I've been thinking about too lately. So the only reason when we first adopted him, it was all kibble. My vet in Alaska, that's still a really good, she's just a super good friend of ours. And so she was saying, you need to take him off a kibble and he will easily gain weight. And so I started moving to the raw. And so I started that process a year or so ago. And now I'd like to do all raw. One, it's super expensive. So I'm trying to just find the right stuff because of finances and all that. Of course, if you feed well, you don't have to go to the vet as often, has been my experience with other dogs I've had. So he's laying right there. That's why I keep looking that way. So I do want to get him off the kibble. When we moved here, I bought a bag. I would love it if it was the last bag and we find something else. And we have made our own dog food before with other dogs. We just haven't done it for this one. So that's something else that I do part of it. I make his vegetables. I don't know. So yes, it's in progress.
I'll try and find a link because I heard that you gave him a patty.
Yes.
Which assumes it's minced.
Yeah.
So you don't need to, and that makes feeding so much easier when you let go of the fact it has to be minced up.
Oh, yeah. No, I knew. I know. Yeah,
because then you can just go to a butcher and literally just get scrap meat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean scrap meat as in nothing for him, but it doesn't. You don't need a mincer necessarily.
Right.
Anyway, that's another. I will send you a link.
Okay. Thank you.
Just to warn you, it's 4:25.
Yeah.
My guests say they're coming at 4:30, but we're scheduled to stop at 4:30, aren't we?
Yeah, and I'll need to go anyway because I have a reading for a new client.
Yes. How exciting!
Yes.
So I don't know. Did we actually cover the original content?
Prioritization.
Your meditation.
Well, part of it. The other part of it is the fear thing, which I still would like to talk about.
Yes.
And maybe we can think about that for the next week is talk about
because very interesting.
Much more beyond like my meditation, but just because it's even in A Course in Miracles, simplified, it's not love versus fear, or you can be in a state of love, you can be in a state of fear. Love is more spirit aligned, fear is more ego aligned. And I've just noticed a lot of fears are coming up, like these wasps, and I don't know, and so I'm just like, okay, we need to spend some time in this. So I would love to, I think it would be great.
My 1 minute tip would be the Matt Kahn, recognize the fear and acknowledge the fear.
Yeah.
And what's his line?
I see you. Thank you for being here. He says something to that regard, right? Because that was one of the first.
Your presence.
I honor your presence, right? Is that what you just said?
It's something like that. It's not honor, and it's not acknowledge. It's something your presence, which means oh, the pressure's on because I've got like 2 minutes. This is great. This is great watching, isn't it? Oh my goodness, I'll have to message it to you.
We'll find it. That's what we'll start off with next week.
It's something your presence, which is just acknowledging.
Mm-hmm.
It's not honor. It's something similar to that, which is basically saying, "Oh, it's driving me crazy, Julie."
Yeah. No, I did it with the moose. moose.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
It was I think it was the first time I ever watched Matt Kahn. It was because you sent me a link. This is the video you need to watch, and he says that it's like, I see you, fear. Mm-hmm. And I know you're here, or something. You like acknowledge it, but you send it love, and I love you for being something to that effect. Yeah.
Oh, I know where it is. How much time? You keep talking, I'll find it.
Oh goodness. Okay, I don't know how much. We can cut this part out if we want to. But she did tell me to play. I will say, when I was asking her about the fear, she's like, anytime you feel it, stop a moment, realize that it's there, and play with it. Meaning, like, she took me by the hands and she was like just playing, like we were swirling around, or we were doing those hand games, like, say, I can't even remember. We used to do like hand jive type, I don't know. Anyway,
Pat a cake.
Huh?
Patter cake.
Yes, which is your name. Yes,
Maybe I respect your power.
that's it. Hello, fear.
Empathize with it. I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry you don't trust what I'm saying to you. I'm sorry you're waiting for the next abuse. I hear you. I welcome you into my light. We need to respect the deepest part of us. But yes, it's I respect your power.
Okay. Then we shall
As
talk.
in, I respect the fact that this fear has a hold on me. I respect that, but it doesn't, it's just acknowledging it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can hear him on that microphone, and I respect your power. Oh, he does that really low.
I love watching him.
I do too.
I need to watch some more. He's just funny, isn't he? Like, you don't expect him to be funny.
Yep, Aaron agrees. Aaron just chimed.
Oh,
Mhm.
oh. So we're supposed to be, there's an animal communication thing. Right.
Okay, I have a reading, so I will not be there.
Okay. Do you want to sign out then?
Yes. Okay. So that was this week's episode of Making Light, where we were talking about prioritization and a lot of other things, of course. We will be back next week, myself and Kate Foggo, and we will look to talk about fear, but who knows? Yeah, she's there or there. We'll see. Anyway, we will look to talk about fear, or something else will suit us. But if you have any comments or requests of topics or anything like that, please visit our Facebook page or our Instagram account, makinglight.co.uk. You can usually find us on the handle, or you can even leave a comment in YouTube and let us know what you think, as well as any topics, like I said. So for now, I'm Julie Hiert. That's Kate Foggo. That way, at least for me on Zoom right now. We'll see how it turns out in the recording. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.